What?
So firstly, I would like to express my greetings. This time, I think last few weeks, too cold here, isn't it? Very bad weather. Now last night, now about a week, now sun, right?
Really?
Sun gradually now shows sun's face. Before that, hiding. Then I want to express my appreciation. See, you showing interest about Tibetan culture, including Buddhism or Buddhist philosophy, because we are passing through a difficult period. The one way I usually call Buddhist culture. It's something really, culture of peace, culture of non-violence, culture of compassion. That is really worthwhile to preserve. The hardliner Chinese officials, you from China?
Yes.
Oh, so these Chinese.
Long time ago.
Like any other people, there are good people and bad people. Here, is it bad? Does not mean from the childhood, from the birth, something bad. Never. We all same human being. But then circumstances, you see, sometimes you see create the individual person. Then I think mainly due to lack of information, lack of knowledge. Then propaganda, brainwash. So that's the real source of problem. So in any way, some hardliners, the Chinese, they consider Tibetan unique language, unique culture. They look as a source of threat, Tibet being separate from China. It's very narrow-minded. So such sort of period, outsider, particularly from America, you see more and more, you see now come and sort of showing interest about Tibetan culture is very, very helpful, very helpful. I think you know now the Chinese official level, America is something bad. Mei tiku tui. Do you know Chinese word?
Yes.
Huh? When we were in Peking, the Mei tiku tui, isn't it? Kukumasu.
Did you hear that? Chinese. Meko Tiku.
Mei mego.
Meko?
Oh. Kasa. Tiku tui. Something. Oh. Okay. So officially, some kind of bad imperialist. Oh, eventually you see China must throw Kasore, because it should be equal or even over America. But people's level, I think American lifestyle, including food, now many Chinese now follow that. And nowadays, you see, many Chinese sort of also the corrupted people, they have money sent to America.
Yes.
Isn't it? And also, as I heard, some of these corrupted sort of officials, including military, a lot of wives. So, in different places, the houses, and each house kept one wife. So now this wife also, you see, sending to America, I heard. Because in their own land is some possibility of some difficulties. So the safer place is America, so they send these extra wives. So you showing interest and through sort of these personal sort of contact, more sort of knowledge, then tell. It's a Chinese friend, including students. What is Tibet? What is Tibetan culture? So, most welcome, you. And you, not just because of the tourists seeing this, because of the sightseeing, not that way. Observe Tibetan communities, what kind of life here. And then generally, Tibetan culture, I think generally speaking, more peaceful, more friendly, and hopefully more honest. Some very clever. Even you see some people, you see too clever, you see cheating me. Yes, me. You see, even years, you say, I fully trusted. After a few decades passed, then, I realized something goes wrong. But general public, I think generally speaking, very honest, very good. So the culture of peace, culture of non-violence, culture of compassion, really creates that kind of society. It's really worthwhile to preserve, isn't it? Now, the Han brothers, sisters really need that kind of culture. Yes, now some questions.
Start with questions.
Do you have questions or should I say something?
Oh yes, as you like. Yes. No need of formality.
Okay.
But informally, whatever you want to say,
okay.
it's okay.
So, Your Holiness, Kundun and Genla from us. From all of Emory, I bring you our greetings and a big Tashi delay on your 80th birthday.
Thank you.
Yes. It is a particular pleasure for me to introduce you to our 14th batch of students since 2001. We also have our faculty here from the Institute of Buddhist Dialectics, some of whom you know. Gen Pasang Siringla, Geshe Kelsang Wangmula, Francisca Urtula, yes, please, Wang Pumala, our Tibetan teachers. My two assistants, Benny Urban and Charlie Grant. So on behalf of all of the people here, happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you.
Usually you also ask me for a short report, but just to say we're doing the same thing this year, studying philosophy, studying Tibetan culture, also language, living with Tibetan families for a month, living with Tibetan students for a month, and doing research. So I think I'm proud of them.
Thank you.
Yes. So on behalf of them, happy birthday again. We also have here with us a religion faculty who is married to this Chinese man that you met. She has been writing a book on a Japanese scientist who does Buddhist art, combining science and the Heart Sutra. So she's brought a gift for you. Oh, I didn't use this. I'm sorry. Here.
Your Holiness, my book introduces the paintings of Japanese Buddhist Iwasaki Tsuneo, who merged his scientific and Buddhist paintings to help generate healing for the modern world. I exhibited his paintings at the Mind and Life conference in Boston last fall. As Tara said, Bob Thurman enthusiastically urged me to come to Dharamsala to directly show them to you, for he agrees these paintings have the power to visually communicate the Heart Sutra teachings, making them more accessible to a multicultural and scientifically informed world. Scientists find the compassionate vision of the paintings particularly moving. I'm collaborating with the scientist Dr. Stephen Scaringe in writing up the volume. And here the DNA these are the characters of the Heart Sutra making the double helix, and this is samsara. And so the vehicle to nirvana is a strand of DNA. And he has...
Unless you explain, I don't...
Well, that's why I have a scientist to help me.
It's difficult to get that impression, right?
That's why I'm working with the scientist. So this is the tritium atom of the hydrogen atom conveying the profound compassion of the Heart Sutra, because this atom, the Buddha's in the nucleus and the electron, and then the whole rings are the Heart Sutra, and that atom is what was used to ignite the atomic bomb on Nagasaki. This painting is Bob Thurman called it the original Vajra. So this lightning bolt is made of the characters
Original what?
Vajra. Dorje.
Oh.
Because this is the Heart Sutra characters making the lightning bolt. And his magnum opus painting is 5 meters wide. He studied the Hubble telescope photos. He calls this E equals MC squared, meaning the Heart Sutra and E equals MC squared have a lot of resonance. So I'd like to offer you one reproduction of illuminating moonbeam that we brought with us from Japan. And here you can see the Heart Sutra forms the moonbeam pointing down to the contemplative finger, pointing back up to the moon. That's the Heart Sutra in Chinese characters. That's just a contemplative figure. A little long.
Very good.
So
Thank you.
Your Holiness, I would be honored to have your blessings on this project.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Your Holiness, you are asked so many questions every day, often multiple times. Are there any questions you wish people would ask you more often?
가르사. 저거 먹고 뭐랬어요?
이만이만 자원무실 저하고 있는데
여러.
이 굉장히 최근에 한 저와 때도 보지 자원 저렇게 양양 이제 당에 이제 중나 공부인데 여가 이나스.
Himendo.
미세.
Nothing. And of course, see, regarding what is it? Regarding Buddhism, I usually happy receive some philosophical questions. And sometimes you see question, what's the best method, you see, to achieve happy life? Then I really fed up. Not easy. Sometimes I teasing. You see, the questioners, you see, you also have your mind, the best, the fastest, because the fastest, and then cheapest. Impossible, you see, to achieve peace of mind through years of training, learning. A simple way to achieve a happy life, impossible. Okay. Then I want to ask you one question. I think among the students or academicians or faculty, anyone you see who have some knowledge about quantum physics? So some time back, I think 15, 20 years ago, one occasion in Delhi, Indian nuclear physicist, his nickname is India's Sakharov. So he helped, he participated to build India's nuclear bomb. So once in Delhi, you see, he told me quantum physics in the world is something new. And he found the same concept in one Nagarjuna's writing. So he, as an Indian, he felt very much proud. The concept of quantum physics in this country, 2,000 years ago, already have there. So he mentioned. And then, you see, a few occasions, recently in Calcutta, I met one professor about quantum physics and some discussions. Very, very interesting. So therefore, I just said, actually, you see, we are planning one sort of meeting, more dialogue nature, with some quantum physicists and Buddhist student of Madhyamika philosophy as well as Chitta Mantra philosophy. So we not yet finalized the time, but already is that concept now already, that plan already now, because of the finalized. Now only questions, only time question. Like that. So you know, as far as I know, according to quantum physics, you see, things, you see,
when you reduce the things into their subtler aspects.
Then finally, nothing can be found objectively, isn't it? So Buddhist Madhyamika philosophy say, as far as external thing is concerned, nothing can be found, nothing exists by objectively, by conventionally. But you see, conventionally, the chakbya.
So things do exist by convention.
And it takbya.
And also by way of designation.
So here, you see, very, very similar. And then also I learned, after our discussions, the 유젠디 그런 것부터 보자잖아. 문지 미시 이야나 뭐부 여대봐. 문지 미시면은 뭐 매대봐 저기. 텐신민이라고 싶으시었어.
So this quantum physicist in Calcutta told His Holiness that according to quantum physics, as long as there is an observer, there is an observed object, and similarly, vice versa. So this is very similar to how the Chitta Mantras actually, prove that there is no externality because of things, because they are, seen simultaneously.
Then now your question now.
Your Holiness, a lot of people who are famous get very proud. You are such a celebrity. How do you stay so humble?
그렇다. I'm just a human being. So, the way I born, same human being. Way I will die, same way. You see, some sort of because of the good name is where, it's a big name. It's just
It's really nothing. The celebrity. big names.
Important is sleep is important. That's common, everybody. Then sufficient food. Okay, that's important in order to sustain our body. And recently, my doctor, not my doctor, one doctor I met, one German, a specialist for knees. You see, he mentioned, sufficient sort of sleep also is some connection with longevity. Longevity, he mentioned. So it is quite common. The common.
So in Tibetan society, it's a very common practice to do the practices for longevity.
Oh, so you see, they recite some mantra, not sufficient sleep, then I don't think you say much effective. I think the practical way is sufficient time away, sleep. So I always say around 6:30, go to bed. And as a sort of monk, you say no dinner. So after my evening tea, 4:30, then some prayer, and around 6:30, sleep. Then morning, 3 o'clock, wake up. Sometimes 2:30, like that. So the main question is, you see, when I met, you see, people, when I public talk or some teaching, perhaps several thousand people, I never felt I'm something special, nothing. I think I consider myself as one of you, same human being. Then automatically bring close connection. If I consider something special, then I myself make isolation. That result, lonely feeling. What benefit? And then Shantadeva mentioned, it's very good. You see, some people, you see, too much sort of praising. You should feel proud. You should not feel proud because there are some people who criticize you. And then some criticism come. You should not feel because of that. Or anger or something. Because you have some other people praising you. Very good. Quite logical. The important is you yourself must be happy person, calm mind. No matter what other people say. Not like some Chinese officials, hardliner. They describe me even as a, sometime back you said they describe me as a demon. So then I respond, yes, I am demon with horn. Then later you see, I also see expressing, so I'm teasing them, some of them. You see, I mentioned, oh, now my horn now seems to see longer and longer. That the demon's horn, not easy now. And then some people say, I'm living Buddha. Nonsense. Yesterday I met one good scholar who quite often used to visit Tibet and also China. And I told him, some people, you see, describe me as our Lokuteshvara, 1,000 hand. So actually I have only 2 hands. So I need, you see, more, because more helper. You see, you should do more. Oh, I mentioned like that. Like that. Next question?
Your Holiness, what is the hardest thing to accept about life for you? And how have you come to deal with that difficulty?
Karsa. Oh, course, on the level of the human being, I think some problems, that same doctor, you see, the specialist for knees, you see, after he checked, and also so he checked because of through blood test, he told me my physical condition is very good, wonderful. And this also, you see, not as he expected, not that bad. Oh, okay. Then he told me, you are not 18 years old person, but 80 years old person. So that really I felt, great teaching. Sometimes we complain, some problem. Then think, now 80 years old, now time come, decaying. That's a nature process. I felt great teaching. I think he, because of the casually, you see, mentioned like that. So that moment I felt, that's very true. That's great teaching. So as a Buddhist monk, it is important to think impermanence. Like that. So the human beings level, the problem, I think, ultimately much related with mental attitude. So that, I think, through training, through study, and through training, so I think I can sort of manage that level of problem. And also the one concept of things are interdependency. That concept also very, very helpful. You see, to widen your view. Problem, same problem. Look at from narrow sort of view, appears unbearable. Same problem, look from wider perspective, then okay. On human level, I practice that, very helpful. Then physical level, of course, some exercise and good food and good sleep, and then from time to time, medical checkup, like that. Then this secondary level, I am Buddhist. As a sort of Buddhist practitioner, you see, every day I took some vows, serving entire sentient being. So the daily, as soon as I wake up, I remember Buddha and his teaching, altruism and emptiness. I always think these two things. Then the rest of the day, whatever way, some serve, some serve, some share with other. That I do. And then, as a Buddhist, also you say, I fully committed promotion of religious harmony, especially around these events in Syria and Iraq and also Nigeria, and also some extent in Burma. Religious faith itself now causing more hatred, more anger. Really terrible. Compare that, I think Putin, okay, his national interest, national was a prejudiced way. Sometimes he more violently, you see, they pursue something. That's, in a way, understandable. But then, the reason, because of different faith, and then killing, unthinkable. So, when these things, when we heard, when we see these things, and it sort of give more sort of fuel to enthusiasm. We must make every effort to promote religious harmony. You also, it's the same human being. You yourself try to be a happy person. Then, at least among your friend, because of you yourself give peace of mind. When passing through difficult period, still you can give peace of mind. Then you can share at least your 10 friends. And each 10 friend share each one's friend. Then 100 person. Through that way, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000. Go like that. That's the way change humanity's way of thinking. Not from United Nations or your own government or from White House. It's impossible to give peace of mind. Peace of mind must, develop firstly one individual, then share with more people, like that way. So our ultimate aim, goal is think 7 billion human beings, or happy, peaceful human being, humanity. Then all these problems much reduce. All those man-made problems, then certainly can reduce. Like that. So you, each of you, have, and some level you can do. In that respect, I can do more than you. But that also, as I mentioned, that monk, unless others respond, I cannot do anything, isn't it? More people, respond. Then that way, some effect, like that. Then third level, as a Tibetan. And most important, many Tibetan. They are physically fully controlled, but their mind very much trust me, look at me, so I have some moral responsibility. Now, political side, I already, since 2011, I completely retired. And I'm really proud. Now we have elected political leadership and also fully the modern educated person. And unfortunately, in one of American university, Harvard University, American imperialist. So, not only myself, retired, but also it's a 4-century-old tradition. Dalai Lama institution automatically become head of both temple and spirituality. Now that formally, proudly, voluntarily ended. That I feel some contribution regarding democratization. I think democratic system, like American system, I think very good, wonderful. In spite some sort of drawbacks here and there, but generally speaking, I think wonderful. Like that. So my main concern is preservation of Tibetan culture. Tibetan culture, Buddhist culture very much related with Buddhist concept. So Buddhist concept or Buddhist culture, whether Buddhist or non-Buddhist, or whether believer or non-believer, so long we are human being, some of the concept of Buddhist culture can be useful. Another word I usually call secular way. Buddhist concept of interdependency. Now Buddhist concept, quantum physics like that. The quantum physics, the scientist simply the knowledge. The Buddhists, utilize that you see, in order to reduce sort of the wrong conception, things independently exist, including your enemy, your friend, something objectively, independently exists. So that sort of also they create solid basis of attachment and anger. So once we realize, things does not exist objectively, mental projection very much involved, then the grasping something absolute that is reduced. And similarly, when we look oneself, I also not that kind of independently exist. So that reduce self-centered, extreme self-centered attitude. So Buddhists, you see, investigate reality. Then the understanding that reality translates to combat our destructive emotion, like that. So I really was wondering, I think some of you, perhaps eventually, you should carry some sort of research, the emotion level, quantum physicist emotion level, and ordinary sort of, also the professors of emotion. I think worthwhile, investigate. Maybe quantum physicists, if they really believe things does not exist objectively, maybe some impact in their emotion, maybe, could be. So I cannot carry that kind of research. I think some of you, I think possible to carry some sort of study. Okay, like that. Then, next question.
You've emphasized the usefulness of training the mind. Could you recommend a good starting point for someone my age?
I think firstly, there's some kind of sort of concentration. So when you study, and your mind, you see, because of the focused on that subject. So that is helpful to increase your sharpness of mind. Sometimes you see, in student, including sort of monk student, when their mind always go here and here and there, then you see difficult, you see, to carry study on deeper way, like that. For that, I think sometimes maybe it's just, you see, think it's one object, not eye-sighted way. The visualize. Now, for example, you see this book, look, and then close your eye. The picture is this book appears on your mind. Then there, your mind try to focus, not eyes. That's one way to increase the power of concentration. So as a young student, the 참바다 시신사를 가지고다.
So mindfulness and your, the watchfulness of what's going on, these two are very important in your life. Yes.
Then I think generally Indian tradition, and particularly Buddhist tradition, is a three level of knowledge. One, knowledge through hearing. From teacher, you hear something, and then just to read and get some information, and just a knowledge. That's first level. And second level, that knowledge now further investigate by yourself, analyze, and read more books. And particularly, I think the different views, because book on different views is very important when you analyze. Like Buddhist philosophy, when we analyze that, you see, books of different views or different masters, very helpful. Read this, or what is his reason? What is his sort of basis of his reason? This, what sort of his or her sort of the basis of their view. Analyze. That reach second level of knowledge. Knowledge of kasata, samjhu.
Knowledge gained through reflection.
Then familiarize that. So 3 levels. That's very important. Then you can become expert. Okay, just mere knowledge, just knowledge. If someone asks, why that? Then finally you have to say, oh, such book mentioned that. That's all. If you have some knowledge, secondary level, then someone asks, why that? Then you have, number 1, A, because of that. C, because of that. B, because of that. Isn't it? So you also now get the firm conviction. You thoroughly analyze. Okay. Next question.
Your Holiness, how can we function in the stressful modern world while still trying to internalize emptiness? As your American students, do you have any concrete suggestions for us?
Karsa.
By emptiness, are you talking about shunyata here?
Karsa, emptiness. The concept of shunyata, as I mentioned earlier, you see, makes sort of some kind of cracks of the solid. So, as I already mentioned, you see, our emotion. I think when we heard or someone criticize you and try to cheating you, you get anger. At that time, almost you get sort of the feeling, or that person is something permanent or something absolute. Then someone told you, or person, that same person, praising you, then immediately the strength of intensity of anger immediately changed. Clear. So anger, objectively mental.
So anger, does not have any objective thing to hold on to. It also has to do with your mental attitude.
So one my again American scientist, Aaron Beck. I think 10, 15 years ago, I met Stockholm. We discussed something. And he also gave me one book he wrote. He described prisoner of anger. Prisoner.
Prisoners of hate. Prisoners of hate.
Oh, no. And then some discussion. Then he mentioned, when we develop anger, actually, that anger very much based on mental projection, because the negativeness, the object which appears to us or to that person, angry person, very negative. But actually, 90% of that negativeness is mental projection. he mentioned that. So this is exactly the 2,000 years ago. So Nagarjuna mentioned exactly that. So anger, very much, based on mental exaggeration, right? Like that. So I so impressed that old person. So last year, my visit to the United States, one place is quite near his home. So I visited his home, his apartment there, in a hotel. In the Shambushto, come now his age, 96, 96, very old. So this is now one scientist, one old, experienced scientist, now mentioned that. Now anger, very much based on mental exaggeration. Once we realize, once we understand, things does not exist objectively, then that's softening. About Shunyata is concerned, I developed interest about Shunyata age, I think, around maybe 19 or 20, I developed interest because one of my debater,
Debate assistants in debate.
he very much interested about this concept. So after I reach India, I study, that I read many books, and also to contemplate. I think maybe I think nothing wrong to share with you. This is Ngaya Jiksa Shivujin Singmeda.
By sharing this, I'm not claiming to be somebody very special.
I think early, perhaps 70. One day, I reading one sort of text, and phung nga sayadi daagam kansa, and phungbu chashe kangdune 주요 말이스 강내경 주요 말이스 풍부 균이되네 샤요 말이스 애네 풍불레 된 현도야 애네 나이 천시 문진 중세자 매베스 나 시바니 딱바 잡모서 직디저리 나 신디도 디마도 슬로바다 디그도 사축 사축.
So while reading this commentary, which says that the I that we are actually investigating does not actually exist from within the 5 psychophysical aggregates, nor is it within the continuity of one's being anywhere to be identified, nor does it exist as some separate entity from the psychophysical aggregates, but this I is merely designated. And so when I read that passage, I had there was some kind of a feeling of, some sort of, I would say, like electrocution happening in me. Some kind of lightning.
So you see, that understanding actually now, kasorta, cracking this feeling of take for granted, I is something there. Then still continue thinking. Nowadays, I think when I look, if I remember, it's in that concept, then some kind of appearance of mirage. So result, the intensity of negative emotion much reduced. much reduced. So then I realized, this concept is not just a mere intellectual sort of knowledge or understanding, but really best weapon, most forceful weapon to transform our emotion. So like that. So, how old are you? 19. Then 29, 39, 49, 59, 40 years. Maybe if you pay some attention, my own case from 19 and 20s, lo tunju. 60 years passed. So, if you have some interest and study, should begin now. Then after 10 years, you get more understanding. After 20 years, some experience. After 30 years, real change take place, your emotion. Result, you will be happier one. Okay, what do you think? Is it nonsense? So training of mind, not just through learning, but real transformation of our emotion, take time, but possible change. These things are something real, like that. Yes? The next question?
Last question.
Your Holiness,
Sit.
how can we, at 18 years old, prepare ourselves to have a positive impact on society?
Look at that. I think for the time being, what you also study, your education degree, what level? High school. So your study is very, very important. And then I think when time comes to choose your subject, the special field, specialist, or perhaps teacher. I think any profession work, provided is a warm heart, good heart, because a warm heart, good heart, then any profession will be positive or beneficial. So for the time being, I think you should spend more study, and then choose right subject, and you should be specialist or profession in certain field. Then you can utilize that your own sort of profession more effective way, more serving to people. Meantime, still you are individual human being. Eventually you will find, I think most of you find good partner. That I think, although I have no such experience, one time in San Francisco, you see, one Christian teacher, I met, he came to see me, and we just casual talk, and then he doing some counselor survey, for marriage. Usually, you see, he advised, marriage should not take hurriedly. So you should know, more friend, then examine. Then finally, you really convince one individual. Then marry. You see, he usually give advice, such thing. He mentioned to me. So that's, I think, very good. Otherwise, my American friend, when I first visit there, they have one wife. Then after a few years, another wife. Worst thing, the previous wife also some children. Then after another few years after, another third wife. Wife or parent, because of the couple without children, then not much serious. But with children, it's quite serious. So you see your partner, some good education, warm-heartedness, and truthful, honest, automatically be reliable. And then you can do more. Isn't it? So largely it depends on your own sort of education and experience and determination and warm-heartedness, altruism, we call altruism. And if you believe God, Creator, then I think best gift from God is this special brain. This best gift from God should not utilize for destruction. Must utilize for constructive way. Then that's the best offer to God, Creator. And then non-Buddhist, non-theistic religion, such as Buddhism, you are your own master. So more serve and more useful, more contribution for other sort of well-being, you get more benefit. That's quite certain. So sometimes you see people, it's the wrong concept. The altruism means you forget your own interest. This is totally wrong. The best way to gain your own inner strength, with inner strength, reduce fear or distrust, so that really get maximum benefit to oneself. And selfish way thinking, I, more anxiety, more fear, more distrust, and you isolate from the society. That kind of sort of attitude or that kind of sort of way of life is actually against the basic human nature. We are a social animal. Each individual's future entirely depends on the rest of the society. If you isolate mentally from the society, that individual can't be a happy person. Okay. Like that. Thank you. Now, two groups. Photo.